Most founders sound exactly like the competition. If you want to be competitive in a crowded market, you can't just be better, you have to be different. I'm your host, Cameron Olds.
And I'm Dallin Merrill, and we're here to talk about how you can avoid being mistaken for your competition, differentiate your brand, and ultimately create a lasting competitive advantage for yourself in the market.
Welcome to Differentiate or Die. This episode of Differentiate or Die is brought to you by MessageOS. And by brought to you by, we mean written by.
If your team describes your product 10 different ways, your product is no longer differentiated. It's confusing, and so are your customers.
MessageOS helps big teams keep every sales deck, social caption, and support reply on message and on brand.
Clear, consistent, differentiated. Every time someone talks about you.
See how it works at protagonistcomms.co. Okay, I might have asked you this before, but are you a movie theater guy or are you a streaming guy? How do you prefer to see your movies?
Both. I'm obviously watching most streamed, but I love watching a movie in the theater. It's just so much more immersive, which is really nice. But I can't go to the movies every night. Plus, it's also hard for me to pay to go watch something. It's hard. I don't know. $5 Tuesdays is great.
Mm-hmm. $5 Tuesday.
I love going on a $5 Tuesday because that seems worth it to me. And it's a fun date night or fun. I also, though, don't love just we're not with each other, actually doing something.
You and your wife.
Yeah.
You and Brenna.
But at the same time, we do it at home too. So we watch movies sometimes. So, but either way, yeah, both I would say for sure.
All right, so if movie theaters were to all of a sudden one day vanish from existence, you couldn't go see them anymore, would you be sad?
Yes. But also I'd get over it. It's not something I'm married to. I don't know. It's not an integral part of my life.
Well, these are questions that Hollywood itself is wrestling with right now because of...
Really?
Because of Netflix acquisition of Warner Brothers. Have you heard of this? Have you been following this?
Yes. But how does that change anything?
Well, and this is why it's in an episode of Differentiation in the News, because we need to do an episode on this, just differentiation wars itself, but it's kind of relevant right now because it's in the news cycle. But Netflix totally has upended the Hollywood movie industry through its sales channel. So Netflix differentiated its sales channel. So instead, you'd have to go early in the days of Netflix, they would physically send you the DVD in the mail, right?
Yeah.
So you wouldn't have to go to Blockbuster and get the movie by going to a store and getting Blockbuster movies, right? They would get it to you in the mail. There were no late fees. You could send it back whenever. You could have 5 DVDs max, send it back whenever you wanted, right? Differentiated sales channel. Same product, same movies, same target audience, just differentiated sales channel, right? But then they kept iterating on that, and they stacked on top of that differentiated sales channel a new one, which is streaming. They pretty much invented streaming. So it's a differentiated sales channel. They put their product out. Their distribution method is totally different than Hollywood, which is in theaters, right? And so what we're seeing right now is a war of differentiated uniqueness, because Netflix has completely upended the market. They're saying streaming is best. Why go to a movie theater when it's more expensive, when you can enjoy it at the comfort of your home, at your convenience, whenever you want, the same movies? And all of Hollywood, who has just for the past 200 years, however long Hollywood's been around, they've all been no, it's in the movie theater. It's a movie theater or bust. And so now that Netflix is tentatively buying Warner Brothers, which is one of the biggest movie studios in Hollywood, there's this fear that Netflix is going to completely put the kibosh on their theatrical release and go and move everything right to streaming.
Oh, interesting. Wow. It's probably more profitable.
Oh, 100%. I would imagine. I would imagine that their margins are pretty. Well, actually, I don't know. We could take a look at this because they're a publicly traded company. We could take a look at what their margins are, but I would imagine it's probably more profitable.
That would change how movie theaters would have to.
Oh yeah, go extinct.
Well, they would have to message themselves differently to be able to stay alive.
Yes, I think so too.
Because they, yeah, I mean, I think that they would be doing like reruns or something, maybe like.
Which they have started doing. I want to show you this article in the LA Times, because this has been Hollywood's big fear is they're gonna stop the theatrical release, but Netflix's big brass is trying to like say that's not what's going to happen. So the headline is Netflix executives seek to calm fears over multi-billion-dollar Warner Brothers deal. And then down below, co-chief executives of Netflix issued a letter Monday expressing confidence in their ability to close a proposed $72 billion acquisition of Warner Brothers. So that's a lot of billions. While trying to allay fears that the deal will hurt the entertainment industry. So I'm trying to see here where he's talking about not. Let's see here. So he essentially says that they're not going to do that. They're going to keep releasing movies in theaters. He says that Netflix didn't buy this business to erase and destroy all of the value that's mined and created with theatrical releases.
Wow.
And so, because everyone is just like super pissed off about this, that Netflix bought. Technically, they haven't bought it yet because there's a whole bunch of regulatory stuff they have to overcome, including President Trump.
Yeah.
But everyone's pissed because for the longest time, Netflix has been public enemy number one as it relates to the old way of doing things in Hollywood, which is releasing things in theaters.
Interesting.
Kind of interesting, huh?
I mean, they're not the only ones that have done this. Like, I remember during COVID, there were a couple movies that were released on streaming services, but they've gone back, right? Like, Disney did that. Like, they during COVID, they released a couple movies just on Disney Plus, but since then they went back and started releasing them again in theaters. So I would be surprised if that actually ever happened, because it still feels like that just boosts the amount of time they're on Netflix. Because like, people will go see a big movie in the theater, and then they'll go watch it on their streaming service a week later, especially if it was really good. Maybe what it changes is like crappy movies getting put into movie theaters.
Maybe, or the opposite, like the cream of the crop is reserved for the theatrical releases, but then everything else just goes to streaming or something like that.
Exactly. That was what I was saying. Yeah, exactly.
I think this is a really cool case study of how a differentiated player can come in and completely upend the market, like we saw with Figma, who completely screwed over Adobe. We kind of sort of saw it with Tesla, or we definitely saw it with SpaceX. SpaceX and NASA, SpaceX has completely changed the game. And then now with Netflix and Hollywood, like completely can upend the market and get some serious market share with it. But it's also interesting because they're, compared to the differentiated distribution channel, sales channel that Netflix has, these classic Hollywood studios, they're still releasing in theaters. And so it's really an interesting stress test of the market of which unique value do you guys prefer most or more? Do you like the streaming? Or do you like the theaters? Or can both of them coexist? And and if both of them can coexist, how do movie theaters change? How do they innovate their product? How do they further differentiate themselves in the future so that they can survive and be relevant? Like you were talking about, like, do only the crappy movies get put into theaters? Is it only the best blockbuster movies that are made every year go to the movie theater?
Or is it only reruns? Or I mean, there's so many options.
So it's an interesting thing to look at. I think the question is which differentiated value will people prefer? Do they prefer the streaming, or do they prefer the theatrical experience, or is it kind of a both and or? It's not it's and, it's not an or. Who knows? But super interesting watching competitive advantage play out in the market before our very eyes. Which is crazy because Netflix was a nobody less than 20 years ago. They were nobody.
It's
and
crazy.
Now they're buying huge movie studios. It just shows competitive advantage takes you so far. If you have a true competitive advantage, you can completely pillage and plunder a market and make it your own.
What about if movie theaters, because I've heard two things. One, YouTube gets way more watched. Mm-hmm. What if they did more YouTube stuff or gaming stuff? They became a place for gamers to go and because people will literally watch gamers play. I heard on Super Bowl, whatever, that more people watch this gaming competition that was going on than the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
By triple or something. By a ton. So what if they became places for people to go watch gamers or something? I don't know.
They've been places. So Taylor Swift released a huge concert movie.
Yeah.
Some people went to go see a Taylor Swift concert in theaters. So
yeah, they're definitely changing.
100%. It's a really cool case study of just watching how differentiated value, how competitive advantage moves the forces of a market and changes the dynamics that how companies play with each other,
Yeah, and they have to. And they have to because Netflix killed Blockbuster, right?
Yes.
Completely killed Blockbuster because Blockbuster wasn't willing to differentiate, to continue to add extra value. They thought they would never die, but Netflix killed them. And they could have bought Netflix in the early days. The offer was on their table, and they said, no, we're never going to die. And so they didn't differentiate. Lo and behold, they died completely. And Netflix might say the same thing right now. We're never going to die, and we're just going to stay the same. They might, but look at them. They are differentiating potentially by sales channel and some other stuff. So good for them.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. If you like learning about how competitive advantages work in markets, how you might try to build your own competitive advantage by differentiating yourself, go to protagonistcomms.co, subscribe to Differentiate or Die to keep listening. We're not going to let you down. We're going to talk to you all about all the good stuff.
Thanks, guys. I'll see you there.